let me just do my. Okay, cool. So I see people are starting to get in. Yeah, so
Great.
See, Becky Kosi is here. Kara, Deborah, Cindy, Mosima, Bumelelo, Zoli, Siwa. Okay, cool. So I see everybody's starting to come in. Are you enjoying that coffee there?
Hi, Zoli. Hi. I am.
Okay, cool. So everybody's mics are muted. So you can just chat on the chat. Okay, cool. So Zoli says, sounds all good on my side. Hello, Zumi. Bekin Kosi, can you hear us now? I think because we're just muted as we started. Okay, cool. All right, so let me do this. Okay, so we'll just allow everyone to just step in and then we will start in a few seconds. Okay, cool.
Good.
So far, how's your morning, Zumi?
Busy.
Is it?
I had an early start, but it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, no.
I love the. Is that your daughter or your son's drawing behind you? The pink rainbow.
Yeah, that's my daughter's.
So cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, she's the one. She decorates the place.
Yeah, ne? Yeah.
So my office is her room.
Yeah, it's a studio.
Yeah, no. So I've put myself in her room here. Okay, cool. So let's get started. Okay, cool. So welcome to everyone that's just joining in. So just in terms of the session today, just to give everyone who's joining us guidance in terms of how it works. So we'll obviously start now until 9, where it will be the conversation that we're going to have in terms of the topic for today, which is developing a framework for marketing excellence. So I'm super excited, you know, and I'm sure everybody is. And then what we'll do about 9 o'clock is that we'll then open it up for Q&A. So everybody will then have an opportunity to ask questions. And then there is a Q&A button at the bottom, so everybody can then put their questions there and ask. And then we'll do that. The session is going to be live. It's live streamed on Facebook, so everybody can also then check it out there if they're not able to join here with us. So welcome and hello to everybody that's on Facebook. And then we'll also share this as a recording. So the session is being recorded. We'll publish this on YouTube. So that is on that. Okay, cool. So just to get started, Zumi, so just on today's session, obviously we're looking at developing a framework for marketing excellence. And before we get to that, is just to get an idea in terms of how has your career journey been so far. So you've had an interesting career. You've gone from sort of like getting us to drink other beverages to now, you know, working with our sweet tooth and stuff. So maybe just to give us a context on your journey so far.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Nikos. Thanks very much. I think it's such a great platform. Well done to you. And you're doing this over and above all the stuff you do. I'm really impressed. I mean, I've been very fortunate in that I was a science grad, by the way. And I hated it. But, you know, my mom said to me, you know, you've started, you have to finish. I don't have money to play. So I had to finish it. And then I was, you know, back in the day, I don't know if this still happens, the big companies would come and recruit, you know, so I got into P&G. And actually that was my learning, that was my school for marketing because it was my first experience in the marketing field. So I've worked over a number of different companies now. And I've focused a lot in the FMCG space, you know, because I think they do the best marketing.
No, of course.
Yeah, you know, they're like honestly, the giants when it comes to this capability. So I've worked for a number of different companies, and then I've worked in a number of different countries as well. My specialty is a lot to do with Africa and developing markets. So, you know, about 10 years ago, I made a concerted choice that I wanted to be clear about what I was going to be famous for. And for me, I was going to be famous for, you know, marketing in developing markets, and particularly Africa, because I love it so much. So I've worked in West Africa, I've worked in East Africa, and of course my home, South Africa. And I've worked on a number of different categories and teams. I think if I had to kind of summarize my experience, I'd say it's been quite eclectic, very diverse, very expansive, in that every single role I've done has added something new to my skill set. I mean, to this day, I've been in this industry for about 18, 19 years now. I'm still learning new things, you know? And so I make sure that whatever I go into, I try and add a different skill set to augment where I'm really strong. So yeah, I would say, you know, I really spike on working in marketing in an African context and in a developing context.
Yeah. And then the practical question is that, so for everyone who's on with us today on this webinar, right, and they are either in the beginning or in the middle of their career, and they aspire to get to where Zumi is, where, you know, you're doing amazing work, you are working with big teams in a big FMCG company, and sitting within an ExCo board. So you know, practically, how did you navigate from one level to the next? Was it consciously looking for the opportunity? Did the opportunity find you because you were good at that post? Like, how does it work?
Okay, so look, I'll talk from my own experience,
yes,
right?
Yes.
I've always been, I've had, it's been a combination of luck and planning sometimes, you know. So like I said to you, my first role, I just kind of went into it, and I didn't know much then, you know. I was young and green. I was like, I have a job, thank God. I don't have to ask my mom for money, you know. And but I was then fortunate because I went into the place that really shaped me when it came to marketing. But since then, I've obviously been a little bit more, you know, conscious about my choices. I would say, Nico, it's a couple of things. One is I try and work for really smart people as a philosophy. If I don't find the environment, my colleagues, my line manager, that they have value to bring to me, I try and stay away from that, right? Not because it's a bad thing, just because I want to accelerate my own knowledge, right? And the only way I can do that is to surround myself with people who are smarter than me in certain areas, you know, and so I can learn a lot from them. So I would always say you've got to be sure that you are clear about what you want your line manager to give you. And you've got to interrogate them as much as they interrogate you, because that's going to be, they're a critical part of your success.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I would say is, you know, always understand what you bring and what you can give to the table. If you're always giving into a role and it's not giving back to you, have the honest, open, authentic conversation that says, I am not being stretched. So I've been very considered about how I stretch myself. And I've always done stuff that's uncomfortable. And so the moment I start feeling comfortable in a role, I know it's time for me to move. You know, within a year, I've got to go. So whereas, you know, maybe sometimes we think comfort is good. I mean, it depends, again, on your life stage. When you've got a child and you've got a small child at home and you've got other priorities, you might want to do that. But my philosophy has always been, don't stay in that comfort zone for too long. So I've always moved, and then I've worked in businesses where they've had a lot of opportunities for me. I've never been in one role for more than 3 years. Never.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I was at Diageo for 14 years, but I was never in a role for more than 3 years. So you can imagine the accelerated change that gives you, right? Because you can be in a company that gives you a lot of experience and innovations, etc., but you have to use it. Then manage your own career, I would say. That is your role. It's not your line manager's role. It's not your mom's role. It's not anybody's role but yours. You've got to manage your career, which means that you've got to look for the coaching you need, look for the opportunities to stretch yourself and get breadth of experience, look for the opportunities that will allow you to have a competitive advantage versus other people who do what you do. So watch your mates, right? If you're a brand manager or you're a marketer, watch them and go, what is it that they do well? If I sit across a marketing director and this is what I want to do, what would I say is my competitive advantage? If you don't have it, find it. For me, for example, I have a lot of experience in African markets and in developed markets and developing markets. I have a lot of experience in categories, in different young teams, senior teams. And so I've said to myself that I'm going to be a really good coach, and then I'm going to be a developing market expert. And so everything I do is in service of that. So I would just advise people, be clearer on what it is that you're going to spike on and then go for it.
Yeah. And I mean, that leads into kind of the conversation today more, is that, so you've said when we had our prep the other day, you said you're a big believer in coaching and understanding it as a marketer. So maybe just take us through that framework. How do you approach coaching in terms of what you do?
I think when people are at their best when they're constantly growing. Like, I believe that because that's been my experience. I'm at my best when I'm constantly growing and I'm being stretched. In order to do that, and then when I do that, I can drive breakthrough performance, right? Because remember, we're all in these corporate or in our own entrepreneurial businesses. We want to drive breakthrough performance, but breakthrough performance comes from people. Yeah, you can give them all the tools and whatever, but actually people drive breakthrough performance. So for me, the most important thing is, how do you get that breakthrough performance from your team? And coaching is a part of that. And I use coaching broadly because I think, one, the myth that the only person that can coach you is your line manager, it's not true. Yeah. I have found that my coaching has come from various places across different roles. Yes, your line manager is very important, but actually your line manager will never be able to coach you on everything because they're not an expert on everything. And as line managers, we have to be honest about that, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. We will show you certain things that we are strong in, and then our job is to help you bridge the gaps with other people who are better than us in helping you in that space. So I always say, look at what you're really good at, look at your gaps, and then go, who are the best people to help me bridge those gaps and utilize my strengths, and then develop a stakeholder map of those people and get them to help you. That would be a big thing for me. I use an example, Nico. I was saying to you that on Tuesday when we were chatting, there was a time in my career, when I was told, you have a gap in terms of strategic management. So, when you move from middle to senior management, strategic thinking becomes much more important. And it was never my strength. And I had a colleague, he was my mate, his name was Adam, and we were in the same team. He was really, really good at that. And I just said to him, look, dude, I wanna get better at this. This is where I'm really good. This is where I'm not. So I'm a singular thinker. I need to broaden my horizon. And we'd literally sit and go through projects and thinking, and he would coach me in that area. And where I was strong, which was I used to spike on operational, executional stuff, I would coach him. So we had a symbiotic relationship. He wasn't my line manager, right? And so I'd say, Coaching is about get it where you can get the best outcome, whether that is your line manager, it might even be a friend, it might be a colleague, it might be somebody who reports to you.
Yeah.
So humble yourself to knowing what you know and having self-insight about what you can do and what you can't, and then seek the knowledge and the experience that you need from wherever it comes.
Yeah.
Do not just rely on your line manager. They can never do everything for you. Yeah.
And also, it sounds, from what you're saying, and to understand you, it sounds like there's a lot of self-planning that has to happen, for you to perform at your peak. To say, what is my stakeholder map? Who do I
Correct.
from? And you work towards that.
Correct. And then consciously work towards it, right, Nico?
Yeah.
Remember, this is not easy. It's not easy to develop and strengthen a gap you have because you've got so much going on in your world. Carve out a little bit of time for yourself to always self-reflect on how you're progressing on that area you have identified. Get regular, on-the-spot feedback from people around how you're performing. I do that to this day. People say, oh, but you have a lot of experience. I'm like, yeah, but the journey continues because I'm constantly learning new things. I'm asking my team, give me feedback. How is it working? How is it not? So feedback is a gift that you must just constantly be asking for. And surround yourself with people who don't just agree with you. Surround yourself with people who have very different and diverse points of view, because it forces you to dig deep around what is it about you that you see, because we all have a lens. It's true.
Yes.
We all have our biases, and we all have lenses through which we default, right? And those are not necessarily true. So surround yourself with diverse people who can give you real honest feedback about how your performance is going. Yeah. And if somebody's constantly telling you you're great, there's a problem. Change them. Change them. Because it is not possible that every single thing you do, it can be great. It's not possible. So find people who are authentic and open and honest and have your best interest at heart and can give you developmental feedback in a way that can leave you whole.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Zumi, right, is that so I'm Nico, I work as head of marketing at my company at South Point. So if all I do is I'm intentional about my plan, I reflect inside, I have a map in terms of, my stakeholder map in terms of all the people I'll need to work with. And then I work on the regular feedback, is that if I'm doing that, am I gonna be like top, like am I gonna knock it out the park?
Potentially, Yes. I would say also always be curious, right? I find a lot of, I've had a lot of this experience where I'm holding a training and some people will really engage, and ask all the questions. And I always say there's no stupid question, to this day, I'll sit in a board meeting and I'll ask something I didn't understand last week and I'll be like, wait, go back. I don't get it. How does that link to this? You've got to free yourself up to learn and know that and learn to unlearn, right? What I mean by that is if every day is a school day to you, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
I've got to remove that. Then you are never feeling as if anything is a stupid question, because in that situation, you're actually your own worst enemy in stopping yourself acquiring new knowledge. So I always say, never leave a room without having had the conversation in your head. If you're having a conversation, but what does this mean? So I'm not sure. So the links are, then have it. Because you'll be surprised how many other people are sitting there going, actually, damn, I was thinking exactly the same thing. Or I was going to ask the same thing. So that is how you constantly, your curiosity must always lead you to your growth and your development, right? So always feel the freedom to ask the questions that are happening in your head. Never leave a room without having had conversations that you are having in your head. That is the most powerful way to learn, because people are willing to teach you when that is the situation. Yeah. And sometimes with us, we're shy, I don't know, maybe I'm going to derail the conversation. No. And if you're having a negative response to that, then you're not working with the right people. And
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also it's quite interesting because I mean it's also that thing where you'll be in a meeting full of people and they'll be like, there was that one person who said nothing.
By the way, we always notice, when people are not engaged,
Yeah.
But you'll find the more you start to ask questions, give your thoughts, debates, your different points of view, actually, the more you start gaining traction and the more you start to understand of anything. And that's part of your coaching, right? And then people who really are, and then you get noticed, right? There's something about people who want to learn and grow that just, attracts other people to help you, because we're attracted by energy. When you have that energy of wanting to develop and learn, people just flock around you to carry you, And I've found that to be true, even in my situation, where I've been stuck, like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever done this. I don't know what to do. Now, here's the thing. You do only have a certain room of time to learn something. Within your first year of being in a role, first 6 months, you can ask anything you want. The issue is if you're still asking those questions in year 3, now you have a problem.
Yeah.
Now you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's not sure, Yeah. So always utilize your first, whatever you call it, 90 days, 3 months, 6 months, to just be a sponge and learn as much as you possibly can. And if you've been in a role for a long time, that's okay. Say to yourself, if you're not feeling like you're getting the traction, that you're going to reset yourself and reset yourself and contract that with the people that are helping you, to say, I'm recontracting with myself that I want to go from here to here, And then stretch yourself, Nico. Get yourself onto work and projects that matter in a business, not the stuff that's relegated to the sidelines. Make sure you are owning your own development. If you're working on certain things in your business, you should be asking, what purpose is this in driving the strategy of this business? If you don't know the answer to that, then you should be seeking it out.
Yeah. And then, you're saying so much, and I'm like, yes, I want to just ask each and everyone more. So then let me understand this, right? So obviously you're then saying that there has to be curiosity at the core, not to silence the voices in your head, and that's important. And then there is obviously the attitude of learning and wanting to find out more. And then so I guess now the question is that, as young marketers or in marketing, in middle management, or marketers that have been doing this for a long time and they're starting, they're going out to start an entrepreneurial journey, right? Is that obviously marketing will always be stretched, right? So there's always this thing I always try to find the balance with, right? So they're saying, be creative, do creative things, but okay, did this lead to sales? What are the business, did this lead into the results? And how do you then navigate that balance where there's this need to say, want to see the business results, but also be creative and do these cool things, try out new things and all that stuff?
Look, I mean, everything we do is around driving business performance. And marketing is at the core of driving business performance, right? So whatever your matrices are in your business, you have to ensure that you understand what that is. So the first thing you need to do is understand the business strategy as a marketer. If you don't understand your business strategy, where is this business going? What is your 3-year strategy? What are the priorities? What are the growth drivers of the business? You are then unable to do the work you need to do. That's the first thing you need to do, which is important, even in your own business, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in a big corporate conglomerate like some of us are, you've got to understand the business performance. I think then you need to be clear on how you are going to deliver against that business performance, right? And how you're going to measure success. Because at the end of the day, we don't do creativity for creativity's sake. We do it for its effectiveness in either changing behavior or driving a commercial impact, etc. Nico. So I would say, and marketing is wonderful because for me, there are many matrices that are real, tangible deliverables of how your business has performed. So you've got to drive that really clearly. And then whenever you're driving your campaign, start with what is the benefit on the business performance that this is going to deliver, and then measure it so that you can prove that outcome. Look, the wonderful thing these days is that, you know, digital is becoming a big part of our marketing mix. And digital is giving us even more direct matrices, and they're quite immediate in terms of performance, you know. So the more we understand and we learn how those work, the better it will be for us. There's all these other tools, marketing mix modeling, etc., that really show us the benefit of that. So understand how to measure success, and then and then test, iterate, and learn. So that when you're starting and testing stuff, you can quickly understand what works, what doesn't, and you can course correct.
Yeah. And then I thought the other day when we had our call, you mentioned that the current marketer can focus on 4 areas where, you know, they'll be exceptional. And you were looking at the understanding of tech, data, creativity, and strategy, right?
Yeah.
You said, you know, those are like the key pillars that if you understand them well, you become an exceptional marketer. So maybe do you want to take us through that framework in the next 5 minutes?
Yeah. What I was saying to you was, I was saying the other day, look, you were asking me, how has it progressed? You know, what's the journey of marketing? And one of the areas I spoke about was, the good news is that a lot of the tenets of great marketing have been changed, right? Around consumer understanding, what do people really want? What value can you add for them? And, you know, that kind of thing. And that really speaks to the creativity and the strategy piece. That piece is still important, and actually will become even more important in such a fragmented world, you know, that we are in. So creativity and strategy always are at the bedrock of what we do. So that's wonderful. I think the new news, or the developing news, is that there is a growing desire for us to use the technology and the data to really step change our analytics, step change our understanding, and step change how we personalize a lot of our communication. And so I said to you, you know, for me, if you are a marketer who can really show some depth and breadth of understanding in tech, data, creativity, and strategy, you've got a really good mix, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, sometimes marketing is science plus magic. It's magic and science, you know. If you have a nose for it, because there are certain things you just have a nose for. That's a great idea. You know, and so that thing you just develop over time, you know. So I would say that so tech and data really to help, not on its own, but in service of understanding how you can build better value, and then of course bringing the creativity and the flair, the magic, and then the strategy or the science of it to really drive you forward. So for those who are listening, think about for yourselves, where do you spike? Where are the areas where you need to develop, or where are the areas you need to partner with people who are really good in that area?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I must go out, look out for people who understand data. I'm like, hey, let's talk. Let's have that.
Yeah. Listen, data is the new currency when you go. I'm telling you now, like we're all clamoring. And I mean, this whole pandemic has just accelerated this, you know. E-commerce is growing leaps and bounds, and so in order for us to capitalize on e-commerce, we need to understand, you know, what does Zumi want, what does she need, what fits into her life versus what does Nico want, what does he need, what fits into his life. So that's all data tech and making sense of it, of what does it say, what do we learn.
Right. No, awesome. Okay, so now we're getting into our Q&A session. You know, I think there's quite a bit.
Already.
It's 9 o'clock already, and I'm like,
nice.
You know, because these are conversations that we need to be having every time, just to understand more and break down more. So hopefully we'll do this again in future. So the first one is, so somebody just put on the Q&A to say, what are your thoughts on having mentors or sponsors in corporate to the marketing industry? Yeah.
Critical. Critical. Whatever you call them, mentor. In any business, in order for you to succeed, you have to be functionally good, but that's a table stake. A lot of you are good at what you do.
Yeah.
A lot of us are good at. So, you know, talent is abundant, right? Opportunity, however, is not. And in corporate, you need to have people who back you. That's just the honest truth.
Yes.
So once you've got the baseline of a functional capability, you need a network of people who know you, who understand you, and who can help you navigate the unwritten rules of that, one. Yeah. And number two, who can accelerate your leadership journey, right? And show you, and when I say leadership, I'm talking about, managing timing of what is the most important thing that is a priority in a business at a particular time, managing, how different stakeholders, what kind of information they need to get them on board on certain projects, etc. So absolutely, I would say, if you are able to get yourself a group of people who are quite diverse and different, who can mentor and coach you in order for you to be able to navigate the political, environment in which you work, then that's absolutely important. And secondly, what they do for you is they give you feedback and coaching on what are the areas you need to really step change your performance and progress your career. Then I would say that is. And by the way, they don't only need to be in your organization; they can be broader than that, So depending on what it is that you need.
Okay, cool. And then there was a question that I got via email. So it was from Melanie Mpofu. So I think her question was more around the challenges that you might have faced and some advice. But I just want to unmute her to elaborate further, just in terms of what is. So Melanie, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks, Nico. I think I sent 2 questions. Hi, Zumi. It's lovely to hear all your insights. I think the one I will ask now is, I just wanted to find out how best can somebody market their marketing to non-marketers? And what I mean, I think, is how best can you sell your marketing strategies or plans to those stakeholders that actually are the check holders at the end of the day. But the issue there would be that they're non-marketers, they probably maybe a bit ignorant or don't see the value. So how best would you go about just trying to get them to buy into your strategy or your campaigns?
And that's within the organization?
Yes, that's within the organization, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie, that's a tough one. I always say show the outcome, and show the best way for people to see the value of something is to show the outcome of that. And you can do that in a number of ways. One is to show real live examples of business performance breakthroughs when something was done, and show case studies to them that really bring that to life, to say, guys, this is the situation. That's the first thing you can do. I think you need to show the opposite as well, which is, if we didn't do this, what would happen? Because a lot of the conversations that we have as in our exec are, so what if we didn't do this? What would be the consequence of not doing it? So tell a compelling, persuasive story around, so if we didn't do it, this is what would happen. But if you're happy with it, we can go. And if we did do it, let me show you the outcome. So case studies, examples, outcomes that you see, whether it's in your other businesses or external businesses or competitors. is a great way to show that actually this is what it is. That's the second thing I'd say. I'd also then say, make them feel better by showing them a staggered approach to whatever it is you want. You know, people can come with you when they understand bite-sized, like that, you know, there's points at which you could check in, and at any point, if the outcome is not coming through, they can stop. So instead of asking for a very big support program, but you paint the end journey and then you stagger it in steps to say, the first thing I'm going to do to show you the outcome and test and learn is this. Are you happy with that? Because they will be more amenative to you if the investment is manageable. So try and show them a journey of what you can do, and then show the outcome at every single step, because then you build a virtuous cycle of success. That's what you need to do, is build a virtual cycle of success. So don't ask for 10 million up front on a thing. You know, go, this is the outcome I want, but as a starting point, I'd like to test and learn here, so that you build the confidence and they feel like they're not taking a big risk on you, right? And that's how you can also manage it. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. No, that's amazing. And then the next one is from Zoli Siwa. And so she's got like a two-part question, but I think it's the same thing. So the one was, she says, what behaviors have you witnessed to be the downfall or limitations of marketers? So, you know, things to avoid. So I guess she also wants to be like everybody else here to leapfrog and go and spike. And then the one was more around work-life balance, to say, you know, how does one do that? But I'm just going to allow her to quickly talk to say, you know, what a question is. So Zoli Siwa, if you want to expand on your question, or are you fine?
Good morning, Nico. Morning, Zumi.
Hey, Zoli.
Morning. Nico, it's Zoli Swa. That's how you pronounce it.
Okay. All right. Yes. I apologize, Zoli Swa.
Not a problem. Please excuse the background noise. I'm working from a coffee shop. I hope it's not too bad. Yeah, so really exactly as you interpreted it, Nico, I wanted to understand, to say, you know, what are the things to look out for? Given Zumi's experience, you know, she would have experienced or witnessed some of the downfalls or actions that certain marketeers, you know, take sometimes without necessarily being aware. And also she could also share some of the behaviors that she herself, you know, experienced. So from her experience and also from what she would have seen from others, what are the things that we need to be on the lookout for as we chart our way in following in footsteps such as hers? Thank you. Awesome. And then the second one, I think it's quite clear. Yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zoli. Marketers who are not business minded, that is the worst thing you can do. For me, if you don't firmly place yourself in driving your business strategy and being a commercially minded marketer, you are going to be in trouble, because you're going to live in a bubble on your own, creating fantastic work that does not deliver an outcome for your business. That for me is an absolute deal breaker, right? And so questions need to be, are you understanding what your commercial counterparts are going through in the field? You as a marketer should be going out with your commercial counterparts, see that a day in their life. How are they doing? What are they struggling with? How does all the stuff we're selling and advertising, how does it get experienced by consumers, by the trader, by the shopper, by the customer? You need to be an end-to-end business understanding. You need to have end-to-end business understanding in order for you to do your job well. Yeah. So how does, and that means you need to understand the commercial arguments. You need to understand your P&L, yeah, and your profitability of your brand and how it works. You need to understand the supply chain and how your product is made and why it's made like that and where those ingredients come from and why do they come from there, because all of it is in service of creating a proposition that is going to land well, Now, if you only understand a sliver of that business, then you risk being quite isolated, if you know what I mean, and doing things that don't necessarily serve a greater good of building your business. Be a commercially minded marketer. Understand what is sitting in your GM's mind. What are his priorities? Your CFO, what are their priorities? Your commercial teams, what are they struggling with? Because whatever you come back with has to be in service of that.
Yeah. Forget the
second question. Yeah. The second one was the
work-life balance. How you spoke about wanting us to stretch ourselves. Now we want balance. How do we balance it?
Listen, Zoli, there's no one size fits all here. So I can tell you that there's no answer that will work for everyone. I'll tell you about my experiences, right? I just have learned to, I've learned that there is no such thing, by the way. It's hard, right? What I've just learned to do is carve out spaces for different things. Now, sometimes, I spend a little bit more time with my kids. And then there's times when I have to give myself fully into something I'm doing at work. But I just negotiate it with them, and I just say, my family, and I say, listen, guys, for the next week or two, I'm going under. But I will come up for air because I have to do something. So I negotiated with all the different spheres of my life. But I've always found that when one gives, something else takes, if you know what I mean. And so my only trick is to negotiate it, and that I just try and, if something takes over a lot of space in one time, that I try and balance it out at the next. And so the more senior you get, the more demanding work is. And it's just something that you sign up for, But I also have great help. I surround myself with people who help me a lot. And that also gives me a lot of time. I also do days where I'm just committed to my family, and I just don't allow anything else to come in that, and everybody else is, and you know what, the world continues and it's fine. And everybody's good. So I find my own balance by just, negotiating the different requirements of my life. So for you, I would say my advice would be find your own way to know, and then negotiate it with your line manager. It's important, Tell them about what are your boundaries and what you can and what you can't do. Because sometimes as people, we don't see it, we don't see what our people need, and so we keep asking a lot. But when you come and have a conversation about what is required, generally people will support you. So be clear about what you need, define it for yourself, and then share it with your teams.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, so we're going to now go to the last three questions. We're at 9:12. We're finishing at 9:15, so the answers will probably be a bit shorter. But we'll still give as much as we can then. So from Sihle, he says, how do we bring corporate earnings and brand attribution to the forefront of brand management? So I'm going to just allow him to give us more context, quick, and then we can answer the question. So Sihle,
Hi, Zumi. I think it's in the context of the financial contribution that brands make to the business. And my understanding thus far is that the KPIs that are, the standard KPIs tend to measure brand traction from an awareness point of view, from a reach point of view. How do we really get it to start focusing all the way down through to even agency recommendations and agency mapping into what the financial contributions will be? So brand asset earnings and all the likes.
Susan, thanks for that. I mean, I've worked on a number of different campaigns where not everything delivers a sales out. So let's be clear about that. We're not commercial, we are marketers, right? So you have a commercial function who has certain requirements and certain responsibilities that they have to do, and you have marketers that build brand equity. Yeah, build brands in order for them to be sellable by the commercial team. I mean, at its simplest, right? We create demand. This demand goes to the commercial teams convert. Yeah. So we've got to be clear about where the interconnected KPIs sit and where do the differential ones sit. I would say for your agencies, make sure they understand what your corporate commercial strategy is. Make sure they understand what your deliverables are. Make sure they are able to link the marketing KPIs to the commercial KPIs. So yes, you're right. You can drive awareness, reach, and penetration in marketing, but there are tools that can help you show that in driving penetration, that can also drive a conversion at point of purchase. Also, you need to make sure that your marketing budgets have a balance between building equity and driving conversion, so that overall, when you look at your marketing investment, the ROI is positive. There will be some things that are not ROI positive, and there will be those that are. But in totality, it should be giving you an ROI that is positive.
Okay.
It's a long story, but yeah. Topic for another day, actually, Nico, because this is an important one.
No, it's very important. Okay, so there's two more questions. I'm going to move on them fast. So one is Nathan is just asking, is the growth of a marketer determined or affected by the size of his or her budget? Because sometimes when you're working with a small budget, it doesn't get you to fully explore all the things that are in your arsenal as a marketer. How would you?
Short answer is no. It's determined by complexity, by strategic importance of what you're working on, and it's an innovation. Now, you can work on brands or portfolios that have very small budgets but are strategically important. And what you do and the outcome you create with that is what matters. You can work on massive brands where actually all you do is search and reapply. I'm interested in the first one. If you can show me your innovative capability, your consumer insight understanding, your ability to deliver business results, no matter which kind of portfolio you're working on, that is what I'm interested in.
That is gold. Okay, cool. And then closing one, Notando was saying, what are your views on clicks, Tresemme, or is it too soon?
Oh.
Responsible marketer if I didn't ask you that.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, no. It's unfortunate.
Okay, cool. So we're out of time. There is one question from Bekin Kose, which I'll acknowledge and maybe share with you on email. And if you're able to then respond to that, and then I'll forward to him because it's now 9:17 and I did say we'll be done by 9:15. So thank you to everyone who stayed with us 2 minutes over. And thank you, Zumi, so much for sharing such wealth of wisdom and knowledge. Anything else from your side before we go? Zumi?
No, guys, thank you. Thanks, Nico. I really, really appreciated it. And I look forward to coming back again and talking about measurement and its importance in marketing to justify why we are, what we can deliver.
Yeah, no, and we'll have that commercial conversation. I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.